cameras are imperative to our neighborhood watch. They're imperative to the safety of our community.
But told CHCH News, they often work with homeowners, businesses, and drivers to get footage. Last week, Miles received an order to comply with the city's fortification bylaw, asking him to remove his cameras.
Disrupted.
Weird thing to happen. It's almost hard to believe this story, folks. It's almost hard to imagine that this is actually being reported, that this isn't part of just a greater, gotcha clown show, freak show that we're currently living in right now. But this is actually the reality of things that's happening in this country. So this is from the local CHCH News out of Hamilton. And while crime is running amok, as we've been reporting stories about, crime running rampant in lots of different areas. We told you about the home intruder, that the guy who was self-defending, the homeowner who was self-defending himself, got criminally charged for defense against a violent criminal who was entering his house with a crossbow. The homeowner got arrested for it and got criminally charged for this. Now this. And I can't believe this is actually legit, folks. I can't believe this is legit. The city of Hamilton orders a resident to take down 10 security cameras from his own home. So a guy who lives in Hamilton, which Hamilton outside of Toronto is very rampant on crime. It's probably the second or third. It's very in the top 5 of Ontario cities that has high crime rates. And this man who has security cameras to watch and monitor and be vigilant on his own property is being told by the city to take down these security cameras. But what makes this even more hilarious is the news report that's coming out of this actually, once upon a time, praised the homeowner. Praised the homeowner. The police departments even praised the homeowner because they were using his security cameras for surveillance. And now the city wants them taken down. So listen to this.
A man has been ordered by the city to take down the security cameras on the outside of his home, even though he says a lot of the videos have been used to help with police investigations. Sean Cowan has more.
There, I have one on the other side. I have one there. I have one there, one there, one there.
Dan Miles says he has 10 security cameras outside his home on McNabb Street North, downtown Hamilton. And he says he needs them.
Because we had a lot of attempted break-and-enters into our home and other homes around us.
Miles has posted videos of break-ins online. He also says police have asked him for his videos over the years to help with investigations. We reached out to Hamilton Police and they say they can't confirm the use of Dan Miles' videos, but told CHCH News they often work with homeowners, businesses, and drivers to get footage. CHCH has used.
So they even state that a lot of police departments, and in this case in Hamilton, they actually coordinate with homeowners because we have security cameras, we have ring cameras, we have, dash cams, that they collect evidence for the police department. So how exactly is this a bad thing? How exactly is this a bad thing that a homeowner on his own property that's putting up security cameras to be a witness so that we have surveillance, so that we have the ability to be more vigilant about break-ins and car thefts and home intruders that is run rampant in this country. I mean, our own premier is a victim of carjacking. So crime is going rampant, folks. People are allowed to be vigilant of their own homes. They're allowed to make necessary precautions, in this case, security cameras, and somehow the city is against that, even though the city uses that evidence daily to present to the general public and help the police solve crimes. Well, let's see the rest of this.
Use videos from Miles, like this one seen here, showing the moments before a fatal crash 2 years ago at Barton and McNabb.
These cameras are imperative to our neighborhood watch. They're imperative to the safety of our community.
But last week, Miles received an order to comply with the city's fortification bylaw, asking him to remove his cameras. The bylaw says homeowners are not permitted to view or listen beyond the perimeters of their own property.
A notice from bylaw, I thought, how could this be? Everybody has Ring doorbell cameras pointed at the street and city property, and my neighbors have cameras pointed at my house, and we all...
The city of Hamilton.
You go to any downtown area, you go to any big metropolitan area, what's the first thing you notice on traffic lights, on street lights? Security cameras. Any big metropolitan area, they have security cameras in their downtown core. Why? Because they know that crime has run amok, that they need the security cameras to watch and surveil these public areas. So why is that okay? But a homeowner on his own property, as he stated there, people have Ring cameras, people have dash cameras. You're able to monitor and surveil a lot of places. Like, we live in a surveillance state. So why is the homeowner being penalized for protecting himself and being vigilant for his community when the city, companies, private organizations, they do it all the time? I don't understand this. I don't understand this. This is literally a joke. This is literally a joke. I can't believe this is actually a news report on television. But it happened.
Has confirmed the order to remove the cameras to CHCH News, but said they cannot provide further comment because this is an active investigation. One neighbor tells us they're okay with the cameras.
Honest with you, it's absolute disappointment. I just kind of feel like here we have someone in our community who's going above and beyond to try and protect us. We've just been hit so many times again and again.
However, Ann Kavukian, the former Privacy Commissioner of Ontario, says people have the right to privacy on public property.
Privacy is extremely important. It forms the foundation of our freedom. So to go about filming everyone on the street without their knowledge and certainly not their consent.
First of all, hilarious name, Ann Kavukian. Wasn't that the name of the doctor that wanted more people to self-delete themselves? Wasn't that the guy, Dr. Kevorkian? That was his name. Sounds very similar. But this is the so-called privacy commissioner. I find this so hilarious. So, after they stated that the neighbors are okay with this, that police and law enforcement are actually cooperating with homeowners because they have the security cameras to crack down on criminals, she's going to draw the line over the homeowner to say that this is a privacy issue. Even though, as I've stated, the city has ways to monitor and surveil you. You go anywhere, downtown area, you go any metropolitan area, there's always going to be security cameras. Private companies are surveilling you. If you have a Ring camera that goes right to Amazon, I think Amazon is the parent company of Ring. They collect their data. Your cell phone is monitoring you. There's thousands and thousands of ways that they're tracking, surveilling you, invading your privacy. But this is where you draw the line. This is where you draw the line to a homeowner that's being vigilant about crime. That's where you draw the line on privacy. Because, the homeowner is definitely, in bed to sell that data to third companies. It's not like he's doing it to protect his neighborhood. Like, honestly, this is such a joke. It's such a joke that this is a legit news report. This is such a joke. Oh, it's a privacy issue now. Hello, where were you 5 years ago? Where were you how many years ago when the NSA came out, when Edward Snowden came out and told you that, hey, a lot of people are being surveilled constantly, that you're not private. Your data is being collected and mined and sold to third parties every single day. But no, a homeowner using security cameras on his own network to just crack down on crime, that's where you draw the line on privacy. Jesus. Mary Joseph. Wow.
I find very, very unacceptable. Now, in your own personal area, your personal property, that's different. And that's why you can do it right at the door of your house, for example. But always advise people what you're doing. Have a sign.
Dan says he has a...
Did you see? He's stealing a propane tank. There's a criminal stealing a propane tank. Yeah, it's such a breach of privacy For who? The criminal that's being caught on camera stealing a propane tank? Are we worried about his privacy? Meanwhile, the government is surveilling us constantly, putting us in an AI database so that they can track and monitor you at every point in turn. They have the ability to cut off your finances, for God's sakes. Where's that breach of privacy? Where's that breach of privacy when Chrystia Freeland ordered top banks of Canada to cut off the financial access to your own bank account? Where's that breach of trust? Where's that breach of privacy? Good God. Good God. It's such an embarrassment. It's such an embarrassment. And what makes this even worse? What makes this even worse is the timing of this. Because that video came out September 5th. Just a couple days ago. This is from Toronto Crime Watch. There was a sexual assault of a child in Welland, so Niagara region. And it says Niagara Regional Police are investigating a serious incident involving the sexual assault of a child under the age of 5 during a residential break-in in Welland, Ontario. On Sunday, August 31st, 2025 at 8:59 a.m., officers in Niagara EMS responded to a home near Crowland Avenue and York Street. They found signs of forced entry and a seriously injured child who was transported to an out-of-region hospital and is currently in stable condition. Investigators determined the break-in occurred between 10 p.m. on Saturday and the time of the 911 call. During that time, the child was assaulted. The neighborhood canvas and surveillance footage led to the arrest of a 25-year-old Daniel Singal of Welland. He faces the following charges: aggravated sexual assault of a person under 16, assault by choking, break and enter, and sexual interference with a person under 16. This is a perp who molested a child under 5 years old. This was just days ago. This is just days ago. And the city of Hamilton is ordering a homeowner to take down his security cameras because of a breach of privacy. Holy crap, folks. Holy crap. Do we live in backwards times? That is just baffling, folks. Here is this guy, Jeff Birch. He is the provincial member for I think Hamilton, I do believe. Member of provincial parliament, Ontario. Okay, so he's part of the provincial parliament. I thought he was an MPP somewhere, but he says the recent and deeply disturbing assault of a toddler in Welland has left our entire community shocked and heartbroken. Every child deserves to grow up in a safe house, a safe neighborhood, and a society that protects their innocence. So that's a statement that he's writing to Doug Ford. He's writing to the province, and we know that Doug Ford knows about this. Doug Ford knows about the rampant crime. He makes those PR press briefings all the time about how crime is run amok, and someone should do something about it. That's his new catchphrase. That's his new soundbite there. Someone should do something about it. You're the Premier of Ontario. You have the authority. You have the upper hand to do something about it. You have every responsibility to do something, and you don't. But you go on camera, you complain about it to the press, you complain about it to your friends. Hey, did you hear about this break-in where somebody, assaulted a toddler? Someone should do something about that. Someone should change things around. Someone should, be angered at the fact that crime is running amok. Someone should criticize Mark Carney and the federal government, not kiss their ass, so they can be part of the pro-Canadian board to go against Trump. Someone should spend less time on CNN and actually deal with their own goddamn province. That's what a premier should do. Just saying. So, back to the crime at hand. This also happened. So, this is another tweet from Toronto Crime Watch. This guy is a multiple offender. This guy violated numerous laws. And now, this man, this 25-year-old, who just, went after a 3-year-old in Welland, Ontario, is having a bail hearing on September 10th at the St. Catharines Courthouse. He is currently being held in segregation at the Niagara Detention Center and has requested a transfer to the Vanier Center for the Women if he doesn't get bail under the guise that he is transgender. I mean, it's so hilarious how much this, piles on. Now we know this guy is a serial offender. This guy has a laundry list of crimes, including this one, and he wants to be transferred out because he identifies as a woman. It's kind of hilarious. A protest will be taking place Wednesday, September 10th at 9 a.m. at the St. Catharines Courthouse, 59 Church Street, St. Catharines, Ontario. So, unbelievable that while they're screaming at homeowners for, breaching privacy because they're putting up a security camera to make sure to be more vigilant around their neighborhood, this happens. This happens more and more frequently. And a lot of people are getting more and more upset about just the ignorance of crime. The ignorance of the fact that crime is running amok, nothing's being done about it. So this guy, Rob Primo, he was at Welland City Hall, and he is going to do this little speech here. He says, "Tonight I spoke at Welland City Hall. Last time I faced 8 years in prison." This guy faced 8 years in prison and $800,000 in fines. "Never thought I'd return, but a 3-year-old girl recovering from vaginal reconstructive surgery needs my voice. You're lucky the cops got you first." So this guy is speaking out. And it's moments like these where I actually kind of have a bit of hope and have a bit of, empathy and respect. And what makes Canada Canadian is hearing a voice like this. So listen to what this man has to say.
Residents of Welland, to God, we were here for something, anything other than this nightmare, but we're not. My hands are shaking, my blood is boiling, and I'm barely holding it together. The last time I stood before you here to speak the truth, I was charged with $800,000 in fines and was facing 8 years in jail. So forgive me for being a little bit shaky, but this is nothing to do with me. The reason I draw that comparison is it didn't even take them 1 hour to all come online, all the staff in this building, and denounce me publicly, try and torch my life. But where are these godless counselors now? Not one of them has the spine to face you, to look you in the eyes and tell you what happened on our soil, in our city. On Friday night, there was an absolute monster named Daniel. I am here burning with rage to tell you exactly what happened, and unfortunately, you're going to feel it rattle your bones. This man who struts around our city, proudly identifying himself as a transgender, smashed his way into a child's home in our community. He didn't knock. He didn't care. He came with evil in his soul, fully clothed, hunting for a victim. That victim was a 3-year-old child who danced through life, who probably sang with joy, whose smile, I'm sure, could light up the darkest of rooms. She was asleep, safe, or so she probably thought so, in her own home. But Daniel tore that safety to shreds. He unleashed a horror so vile, so depraved, it makes my stomach churn, my fist clench, just to say it. He choked this little 3-year-old girl so bad that her blood vessels popped in her eyeballs. He assaulted her with such brutality that no human should ever known, let a child. We need to put our foot down. This is our community. Our children should be safe in our community. Hours and hours of reconstructive surgery were needed to repair the anal and vaginal damage that this sick freak committed. When he was done, he walked out in nothing but his boxers, leaving an unconscious, purple 3-year-old child in her room. She couldn't speak. I'm here to speak for her. She was left to die, abandoned like garbage by a predator who didn't give a damn if she lived or not. This wasn't Daniel's first time either. In 21, he sexually assaulted a young boy in a sickening similar attack whose mother I was lucky enough to meet tonight. And I will always be here for her and her family going forward. And I will never let anyone child again. And they've arrested these people. They get out the next day. They're drowning in this filth just like we are, and they're too spineless to admit it. So I'm saying it for them. Our justice system is a rotting corpse, failing us, failing the 3-year-old child. A mother in our community who had this experience happen said she feels like she failed to keep him locked up, failed to protect other kids. And she is not alone. I'm standing here, my heart pounding with fury, feeling like we've all failed that little girl whose smile we may never see the same way again. She's in a hospital bed, fighting to heal from wounds that will scar her body and soul for the rest of her life. Wounds that will scar her body and soul forever. And we're left here choking on our rage, wondering how the hell this happened in our city. But let me make something very clear. Daniel and every other predator that lives in my city that's like him. Just because the police can't keep you caged, you fucking animal, just because the courts let you walk doesn't mean you're untouchable. You are not safe in Welland. You are not welcome on our streets. I promise you with every fiber of my being that I have faith in this city and in my folk to make sure you never feel safe walking these streets again. Don't you ever dare to touch a child or woman in my community again. You will face consequences so severe. Let that sink in deep. Take it for what you will. Gotta get.
So that was Rob Primo speaking at Welland City Hall. And I feel his frustration. I feel his anger. And it's, you know, it's heartbreaking that he has to state that. He has to be, in his words, choking on our own rage. But unfortunately, this is the reality of where we're living in. And I wish just more and more people understood his pain, understood why he's in rampant rage, why, you know, we talk about this, why people are getting so frustrated. And if we took that energy and brought people together to really do something about it, we could actually have a prosperous country. But for whatever reason, people just seem to be ignorant on the justice department being absolutely ignorant to the rise of crime. Our own premiers just don't care about the system. Our federal governments clearly are emphasizing more and more crime to, you know, cause chaos in the streets. And we have more and more of these incidences that occur. So I feel his pain. I feel his frustration. I applaud him for that. It gives me hope. It gives me, you know, joy that there's actual Canadians out there that are willing to protect and be there for other Canadians. That's what the whole point of our culture, our identity is supposed to be. Not deflecting so that we have more megala monsters just running amok and causing chaos on the streets that causes more, you know, significant damages to children. This was a 3-year-old girl. A 3-year-old girl who was sleeping. A 3-year-old should never have to deal with that. No child should ever have to feel that they are not safe and feel in danger constantly by someone who's going to be a home intruder and assaults them. No child should ever have to feel that in this country. So I feel his pain. I feel his anger. I applaud him for his messaging there. And I have, you know, a connection with Welland. I went to school there. I went to Niagara College in Welland, Ontario. Very familiar with the town. I love the people there. It's a very, very small, quaint town. Like, I think it's only not even, you know, 40,000 or 50,000 people. It's a very kind of small, quaint town, but it's very beautiful. The people there are nice. And it does bring me a lot of anger to note that even these small, quaint towns that you think that everyone knows everybody. It's like Mayberry, that nothing's going to happen in my backyard. And it's happening. And we just want to know what the hell is being done to prevent more crimes from happening. What's being done to prevent more and more damages so that more and more children are being felt in danger constantly by pedos, by criminals with long convicts and standing records that continue to lurk onto the streets because our criminal justice system just throws them a bone, throws them back into the water like a fish. So it is just heartbreaking, folks. It's heartbreaking, and could very much answer the question why Canada's so tight-lipped on, talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Because that's ultimately a statement there into the longer big picture of why a place like Canada, where it seems like every day we're becoming more and more anti-American, you would think that Epstein would be on the top of their list, especially knowing that, there's possibility Trump might be on that list. So you would think Canadians would be more and more interested in trying to release the data and information on these pedophiles and perverts, pedophiles, to change the wording because of YouTube, that they should, there'd be more conversation about it. But of course, we're covering our own crimes. We're covering our own human trafficking. We know that the Trudeau family, the Carney family, are deeply involved in sex trafficking. So now we know kind of why Canada stays silent about this. Now we know why Canada stays silent about Epstein, why they stay silent about, drug lords and gang activity and organized crime syndicates that's run amok, that people like Sam Cooper, investigative journalists, have warned people and expressed year after year after year that this is becoming more and more rampant. I don't know what's going to take for people to realize this, but now seeing this on top of days after the city of Hamilton cracking down on homeowners for having security cameras, it just goes to show you what absolute lunacy our parliament structure is. So kudos on Rob Primo. I hope more and more people, are engaged in activism like he is. And we should take that energy, just like we did with the Freedom Convoy, just like we do with worker strikes, bring everybody together and realize that we have a common enemy so we can actually fight back. As this shirt says, united we stand, divided we die. So let's bring all that energy together, realize that we all have a common enemy, and we can actually reform the country to a place where we can actually have prosperity in this country. Because at this point, Canada's fallen off a cliff, and Canadians are just left to bleed out in the streets. And that's not even a hyperbole with the way crime is going.